So now y'all come into my kitchen. This is Cooking Today. Hi, welcome to Cooking Today. Glad that you're here. Happy Wednesday to you. Y'all, today I'm making a family favorite from growing up in my childhood. Likely a family favorite for so many of you. And we're gonna make it from scratch instead of canned soup. Ready? We are gonna make today homemade poppy seed chicken. Yes, the poppy seed chicken of our youth, and maybe in some of your families, has canned, processed canned soup that we pour in and make our cream sauce, and it's very, very simple to do it that way without question. But today we're gonna make a homemade cream sauce that has got just a little bit of tang and a little something special because we have sour cream in there, and then we're stirring in the littlest bit of cream cheese, which just takes it to a whole new level, doesn't it? And it starts with 3 chicken breasts. And this is so important, y'all. This is so important because you want to cook the chicken well. We don't want to have chicken that we have just boiled to death. You know what I'm talking about. We're in a hurry, right? So what we do is we put our chicken in boiling water and we just boil that little dude until it's finished because we're in a rush. And then what happens is the heat from that high boil causes the chicken to basically panic and seize up. It goes like this, ah! And it turns into really hard, rubber, not tender bites of chicken. And good chicken in this homemade poppy seed is just key. So we're gonna cook it low and slow like we do with so many of our other meats that we make, right? We do it with our pork and we do it with our braised beef and all of that, low and slow. High heat first and then turn it down. And that is how we're gonna get great chicken. So I have 3 chicken breasts and I have a saucepan that has enough surface area that I can lay my chicken pieces in the bottom of it and not have them all piled on top of one another. There's gonna be a little tiny bit of piling, which is totally fine, but we're not doing it in a tall pot. We're doing it in something that's got more surface. So I've just trimmed off, I like to call those the gunky pieces. We've trimmed off the gunky pieces, and then I have my chicken breasts, and I'm just gonna cut them in, I don't know, 3 or 4 pieces, just like this. It just kind of helps aid in the cooking process, goes a little quicker. I'm gonna throw those in the bottom of my pan. Okay, same with this. We're gonna do 4 pieces. I think on the recipe it might say 3 pieces, but these are kind of big boys, so I'm gonna go ahead and cut them into big, quarters. And then this guy, okay? Now, I'm laying them all in the bottom of my pan. Let me get my knife a good hot rinse. Then what we're gonna do is cover this chicken in this pan, just like this. See how my pieces are laying in there? Not really piled on top of one another. That's why it's really great to have kind of a good saute pan with high sides. So we've got our chicken like this. And what I'm gonna do is cover my chicken by about 3/4 of an inch or so in the pan so that all the pieces are underwater. And as your chicken cooks down a little bit on the stove, some of that water may cook down enough that you have some chicken exposed. And if that's the case, you can lift the lid and either tap it in or you can rotate those pieces of chicken over, like flip it so that the part that's just above the water will, get its turn under the water. I mean, it's not rocket science. We're just cooking some chicken nice and slow. But that's kind of how I do it. Then, to help tenderize it and make it taste really, really good, I'm doing a couple of teaspoons of salt. And it just kind of helps flavor the chicken. I mean, otherwise, chicken just boiled with nothing flavoring the water is going to taste super bland. And yes, we're going to have a cream sauce that's going to go all over it that is going to turn your world upside down. It's so good. But why wouldn't we want the chicken to taste good inside that sauce rather than the sauce just tasting good on the outside of the chicken, Flavor. all the way in. As a matter of fact, if you were feeling fancy, you could even throw in a mashed clove of garlic or a half of an onion in here if you wanted to. You could throw in some herbs, just whatever you wanted to do to flavor your water while you cook your chicken. But for this to be, you know, my goal here is to do a good family weeknight meal, one of our family favorites, but make it from scratch, but without being too much work. Does that make sense? We're trying to kind of make a scratch recipe without gobs and gobs of work so that you can see how simple it is. Okay, ready? Cold water on the chicken. All we're gonna do, I'm gonna cover that and crack it just the littlest. And I'm gonna turn that on high. And I actually have this great pan. It's from Zwilling. It has a clear lid on it so I can see what's happening inside my pan when I'm trying to maintain the heat in there, and I don't have to pick the lid up and lose all my heat. I can see it. Isn't that great? So we're gonna bring this to a boil. It's gonna boil for about 5 minutes. And then I'm going to turn the heat all the way down to a low simmer, and we're gonna let it simmer for about 30 minutes, and that's it, low and slow. When we come back, we're gonna start on our good cream sauce. This is Cooking Today. Hi, welcome back to Cooking Today. Y'all, today I'm making a homemade poppy seed chicken from scratch, no canned soup. No offense to canned soup, but this is all natural. You're gonna know exactly what you're getting. You're getting homemade chicken stock. You're getting sour cream, and we're putting some cream cheese in there. The flavor is fantastic. You are going to love this cream sauce. I made this for my family not very long ago. And are you ready for this endorsement from the husband of all husbands? I said, oh, as a matter of fact, let me tell you this. I made it for my family on a night when I was actually going out with some friends to dinner. So I made supper for my family before I went out because that's just the kind of wife I am. So I didn't get to eat any of it. But I told my husband, I said, you need to take it out, and this is, you know, whatever, how you eat it. And when I came home, I said, how was that poppy seed chicken? It's a new recipe. I wanted you to like it. And he said, out of all of the chicken dishes that I make, which is a lot, he said it's in my top 2. Top 2, y'all. Isn't that so good? Because you think about all the chicken dishes that I make. I've made them almost all here. Enchiladas and white chicken chili and chicken parm and chicken pot pie. Oh, y'all, have y'all made my chicken pot pie? I wish you would. It's almost time of the year that you should be pulling that one out. It's delicious. So top 2, and I didn't even think to ask him what his number 1 is. I'll have to let you know, because actually I'm curious. So it's that good, and it's very simple. There's just a little bit more elbow grease than if you were just to kind of buy store-bought everything and dump it in, and it's really worth it. The flavor, y'all, over the moon. And I'll tell you, the other reason that I thought I would make this for you guys is because we had so many great responses on our Facebook page and on the Unimaze Instagram and on our YouTube about the 3 quick weeknight family meals that I made a couple of weeks ago. Y'all loved those, so I love hearing that. And so I thought, well, what's another quick weeknight family meal that I can make for my people that I just know people love? And this is one of them. So there are a lot of reasons to love this dish. 2 tablespoons of unsalted butter, salted butter in this dish. It's not going to matter all that much. You're just going to want to adjust your salt if you're using salted butter, because I'm using unsalted, which means I'm going to throw in quite a bit of salt when I, season my cream sauce. So here is our butter. Here are my onions. This is just one. It's a pretty small onion. 1 small onion. You know what? I may save this because that actually made quite a bit. No, I'll throw it in. You can do about it. Onions are kind of up to you. They're relative. It's up to you. You could usually do about a cup. A cup would work, or half of a large onion, whatever you want to do there. Then I'm just going to let this saute down for just a few minutes. The oven is preheated to 375 degrees, enough to help us bubble up this creamy filling in this poppy seed chicken and to give us a good toasty color on our crackers at the top. And I can't wait to share with you what those are. They're a new fave, a new personal fave. Okay, so we're going to let these saute around a little bit. These onions do their thing for a second. I also have a tablespoon of minced garlic hanging out, waiting to be thrown in for just a minute. You need to have all of this kind of ready because you don't want to have to go measure each step. So kind of get everything in stations and ready to go when you are prepping your recipe. That's really a great rule of thought. Rule of thumb, great thought, rule of thumb for all recipes, because you don't want to be going one item at a time going, oh, next I'm supposed to this. One of my tips is always read your recipe through from beginning to end so that you know exactly what you're going to do, because there might be a step that surprises you, or there might be a tip about a size pan that you should be using and you didn't know that, or there, something like that. Read your recipe through from beginning to end, and then get everything in place, pre-measured, set out, ready to go. Here's our milk, 1 cup already poured. I already have my 8 ounces of sour cream open and ready to go. Lesson learned from my very first season when I forgot to open things a lot of times in advance. And so I spent a lot of airtime opening things or handing it to Timmy or Andrew to have them help me open things. So have everything ready. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. These are going to finish cooking down a little bit, these onions, and they're getting fragrant and tender, and they start to smell a little buttery. And then when we come back, we have cream cheese, sour cream, milk, poppy seeds, good chicken that's going to be tender. We're going to throw it all together, put it in our pan and bake it. Easy as that. So come back, this is Cooking Today. Hi, welcome back. We are making homemade, from scratch, chicken poppy seed casserole today. It's delicious, y'all, and I'll tell you, some of the things that I absolutely love about this casserole is you can make this filling that we're about to just completely throw together. You can make it a day before, 2 days before, and refrigerate it. You would not want to put the crackers on top at the end, but you can pull it out, top it with crackers. It bakes in the oven in like 20 minutes. Isn't that awesome? So you could make it. It is also a great recipe to share. I love to encourage y'all to make and share food with people. And so if you have a neighbor whose mama died, or they got, they're moving, or jobs, whatever it is, just a hard time, go love on them with food. That is really it's my heart. It's what I do. And so this poppy seed chicken is a perfect recipe for you to just put into a throwaway pan, right on the top of, foil, bake at 375 for 20 minutes, and send it with them. It is just so simple. Okay. We have sauteed our onions until they were tender. We have thrown in our tablespoon of garlic, and garlic will burn if you don't just stir it like crazy. And you only want to let the garlic cook for about a minute, 30 seconds or so, and you'll start to smell it. It becomes fragrant, and then it's pretty much time to get something else in the pan, or that garlic will burn, and it'll turn into 1,000 little tiny black baby bits. And you'll never rescue them out. You can't go in there and rescue them. You just have to start over. So to aid with our thickening, I threw in a couple of tablespoons of flour right on top of my garlic and onions, and I've stirred it around, and it's kind of become like a clumpy mixture. It kind of clumps it all together. So we've stirred and coated it. I'm on about medium-low heat at this point, okay? So then what we're going to do is pour in. I'm actually going to transfer to my whisk. Okay? We're going to transfer to our whisk, and then we're going to pour in our milk. okay? And then we're gonna let this cook and stir for a couple of minutes. And you're gonna see, probably like a minute or so, not long, not a couple of minutes, just a minute. We're gonna get this all mixed in. That milk kind of loosens up those clumps that we just formed with our flour, but that flour and that milk are going to create this really good thickened sauce. Then we're gonna add in a 10-ounce can of chicken broth. You can use an organic one, you can do your homemade. I love a homemade chicken broth, but use your best quality, all natural chicken broth. Okay, now I'm gonna turn this up to about medium heat. And we want this to start to get a little bit thicker, and we wanna see the edges of this become simmering. We wanna see it start to have some activity and have a little simmer. Because we need to get this nice and warm, because we're gonna throw in sour cream and cream cheese. Now, while this is getting going, we have our chicken. So remember, we put our chicken in cold water with quite a bit of salt, covered it, put it on the stove. I turned it on a high flame because we wanted it to come to a boil. I boiled it for about 5 or 6 minutes. Then I turned the heat all the way down to a really nice simmer, and you want to let that go for 30 minutes or more. As long as you can stand it on a really low simmer, and just low and slow, and that salted water just tenderizes that chicken. If you pull your chicken out and it is not just easily, doesn't just easily shred apart with your forks, it's cooked. You can totally eat it. It's cooked. But if you let it go a little longer, it is just going to become the most tender, wonderful chicken bites. Also, my personal thought on poppy seed chicken, or any chicken casserole for that matter, I like my chicken more shredded than cubed. There is just something about a cube of chicken. I can't do it. I just cannot do it. So you're going to get a yummy, tender bite if it's just more shredded. This is only going to get more tender as it cooks inside this cream sauce. It's delicious, y'all. Okay, we have our cream, our milk, and our stock. I'll get my spoon back out. And now I'm adding 8 ounces of sour cream for some great flavor. It's awesome, y'all. That bite is pretty fabulous. Okay? So we're gonna whisk that until it combines. And then, so good, you should smell it already, what the sour cream does when it hits that. Then what I have is 4 ounces of cream cheese that's cubed. And I'm gonna throw it in. This is how simple this is, guys. We're gonna stir this and it's gonna melt. And then all we're gonna do, throw in our poppy seeds, tablespoon or so. Throw in our chicken. You can even add peas if you wanna add peas. That would be my husband's favorite thing in the world. Salt and pepper it. And then we're gonna top it with crackers. You're gonna love this. I'm gonna show you how it all comes together when we come back. This is Cooking Today. Hi, welcome back to Cooking Today. Today, y'all, I have just recreated from scratch a family favorite homemade poppy seed chicken. But I mean homemade, like we made our cream sauce. We sauteed our onions and our garlic, and then we added in our milk and our chicken stock and cream and sour cream and cream cheese. Did you hear all that cream? Oh my goodness, that's what makes it so good. I told you this sauce is gonna make your heart sing. Then all I did was stir that sauce and let it thicken, add a little bit of shredded chicken to it, pour it into our casserole dish. I like something that's got a little bit of depth to it. It's real pretty, more so than a 9x13, which might make it a little shallow. Topped the whole thing with a whole sleeve of crushed Ritz crackers. They make a flavor called the everything, and it already has poppy seed and garlic and salt on it. It just amps up and supports all the flavors that were down inside our cream sauce. Shredded some Parmesan cheese right on top, grated it right on top, and then baked it in the oven at 375 until it was bubbly and golden. Then all we do, I have some rice that I'm putting on a little shallow plate. And then we're gonna let this sit. This needs to sit when it comes out of the oven for probably 15 minutes. It's piping hot, and it'll help it just to kind of set up. We're gonna spoon it right over this rice, top it with some parsley, and maybe do a little bite of fresh peas on the side. This is comfort food. It's a family favorite for generations, and it's from scratch. It's good stuff. I hope you'll try it at home. Love every bite. This is Cooking Today.